Okay, to find missing angles, we're going to use trig a different way. Sine and cosine and tangent just depend on the size of the angle. For a particular angle, like 40 degrees, every 40-degree angle in the universe has the same sine, cosine, and tangent. It's a constant. And so programmed into your calculators are the values for sine, cosine, and tangent for every size of angle. And so that means that we can have the calculator look up that missing angle for us if we just tell it the value, the fraction, the decimal that sine, cosine, or tangent should equal. And so to do that, we're going to want to use our second button or our shift key, depending on what it's called on your calculator. And then we're going to press the sine button, because above that sine button is sine -1. Or we're going to press the cosine button, because above that is cosine -1. And then we're going to maybe hit the tangent button, because above that is tangent -1. If we want to use an inverse trig function to find the measure of a missing angle, then we'll use second sine, second cosine, or second tangent. In that way, the calculator looks at it and says, hey, what's this decimal? And it finds the decimal in its memory, and then it tells you what the angle that went with it was. Okay, so we're not really solving the equation, we're having the calculator look a value up. It's essentially us using our calculator as a hey Google. Hey Google, here's my decimal, what would my angle be? All right, here's two examples. We have to look at what we're given. From this angle's viewpoint, we're given a 5, which is on the opposite side. And we have a right angle here, so 13 is our hypotenuse. And so we are given the numbers to make up the opposite, and hypotenuse makes sine. So sine of our angle is the fraction opposite over hypotenuse, which is 5/13. We could turn that into a decimal, or we could just use the fraction, that's easier. But if we type inverse sine in our calculator, and then we put parentheses 5 divided by 13, the calculator will convert that to a decimal, look in its memory for that decimal, and tell you what angle has that for a sine. All we have to do is ask. And our answer is 22.620 degrees. Okay? Here's one more. If we look from the angle they ask, we see that across from the triangle is an 11, so that's our value of our opposite side. Down here on the bottom, across from the right angle, would be the hypotenuse, but there's no number there, so we don't want that. So this must be the adjacent that we do want to use, because it has an 8 there. So we want to figure out which trig ratio connects opposite and adjacent, and that's tangent. We don't know the measure of the angle, so we put the variable that they used there. And then we set up the fraction, opposite over adjacent, so 11/8. We want to know the angle that has that 11/8 as a tangent. So we ask the calculator to look it up for us by doing tangent inverse, second button, and then, or shift, and then your tangent key. And then 11 divided by 8. Okay? And it's 53.973 degrees. Okay, if you have questions, please ask in class.